8 o'clock. We're Taryn Rad, and this is the Bari-N-Love podcast, where we figure out life, love, and healing out loud. Right?
Yes.
Right. So yeah, what's shrinking? You know, this conversation is about shrinking, and not just by the weight. You know, of course, we're all trying to lose weight and get in better shape, shrinking our weight. But no, we're talking about shrinking ourselves and what that looks like in regards to relationships. What else can you think of?
Friendships,
Friendships,
family relationships.
everyday life, like when we're out for work and associating with people, communicating. Are we giving everything to these conversations and to these relationships? Or are we bottling up things up and not giving 100% authentic who we are and what our thoughts are and how we feel about certain situations? So that's the shrinking we're talking about this evening, my love. So shrinking to you, what's that mean?
Thinking to me, saying you're fine when you're not fine.
Hmm.
Not telling someone how you really feel. And I'm not talking about not telling someone how you really feel to prevent chaos, right? I'm talking about not telling, like, a close friend how you feel in fear of rejection or judgment.
Hurting their feelings.
Hurting your feelings, yes.
Yeah, I get it. Also, shrinking to me looks like maybe, yeah, like you said, looking fine or even overthinking before talking. And what we all do a lot of just to be accepted is people pleasing.
Well, I sure am glad you threw in people pleasing after you just talked about overthinking.
Yeah, overthinking and people pleasing. Why do you say that?
Because overthinking is totally my short fault.
How so?
I overthink everything,
But I'm trying
almost everything. I used to overthink everything, but I overthink almost everything.
Okay, you overthink it. Everything which you do. You do a lot of overthinking, and sometimes that overthinking is just overwhelming for me. But when we say overthinking, what do you mean? Like, how does overthinking relate to shrinking? Like,
So for me, an example would be if I have something that I need to talk to you about, whether it can be as simple as a dream I've had that I've overthought, or something I'm feeling about something, the way I'm feeling about something you've done. I overthink whether or not I should talk to you about it in fear of you getting upset or flipping your lid, or if I'm being straight up, in fear of you leaving.
hmm. And we've had this conversation over and over again that I'm not going anywhere, but that doesn't matter to you. I mean, it doesn't matter to you that we have this conversation and I tell you over and over again that I'm not going anywhere. You still tend to find a way to shrink and keep it to yourself and not tell me because you're worried about me just up and leaving. Right? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Yeah. And pull yourself together, girl. We're gonna be all right. I know this is definitely a difficult subject for you and I. I know, man, I have a hell of a way of shrinking myself because I don't know how to communicate my feelings to you to prevent or to better make you feel, not to better make you feel, but to help you feel secure in our relationship that I'm not going anywhere. And I think that in some instances when we're talking about shrinking, it's like damn, she wants me to change this and change that, you know, so it's like, I feel like I'm being forced to shrink when I don't want to shrink. And I think if it makes any sense, I just don't, I'm having a hard time learning how to differ, dif, differentiate from, you know, change and it being okay, um, and shrinking. Like, it's not me necessarily shrinking or changing. I just feel like you're trying to change me and shrink me. We're talking about shrinking, but at the same time, I need to be okay with making those changes, you know, and not look at it as like an attack, which makes me then shrink in turn, you know, because um, I bottle up and I keep things inside and I don't say things, um, which relates to shrinking. I'm not telling you exactly how I feel because I don't want to have an argument, even though you say it's not an argument, it's a conversation. I take it as an argument or as an attack every single time, and I need to get over that, you know. And we've talked about that numerous occasions throughout our relationship, the beginning of our relationship. Um, and another thing, you know, I want to touch on is people pleasing. It's funny, you know, because we had this conversation the other day too. You know how quick we are to accept and be nice and grateful and pleasant with people outside of our home more than we are inside our home.
You mean you?
Yeah, me. But I'm speaking of people who can relate, who may take accountability to say that they do the same shit.
Yeah.
You know, um, and I catch myself sometimes. It's like, you know, I'm being nicer to the people outside of my home to people please because I don't have to at home. I got y'all. You know, I'm not. You ain't going nowhere. And you're my wife, so you accept me for who I am, and that's that, and it's okay. But and I get content with that, and that's why I have the shortfall. You know, that's shrinking to me, and I don't really.
Which is also a big trigger for me
Right.
because that's the way I was done for 30 years.
Right.
So
Elaborate.
I was used to
Mm.
being talked down to.
Mm.
Cursed at.
Mm. Yeah.
And then as soon as we left the house, it was a different face. And he was kind to everyone else,
Mm.
which is sometimes what I see you doing.
Mm. Now, I mean, I don't want to be made to look like the asshole here to people who are listening to this podcast, but I mean, I don't want to get it twisted. There. Yes, we do have our arguments, but I'm not uh, emotionally abusing you, am I? Yeah.
But you haven't, you know,
I mean, we've cursed. I've cursed at you. You know, we've hollered at each other. We've said some very nasty things to each other, for sure. It happens in relationships, but it should not happen in relationships. And that's what we're trying to nip in the bud, is that we don't continue that negative impulse between the both of us. When we get upset and angry, we have to, like we had the conversation, I think it was yesterday, we had the conversation about how I'm quick to react because your tone is pretty stern sometimes. So your tone sounds like you're talking to me like what I referred to as a bitch, you know, a punk. You know, this is what I said and that's what I meant. I'm like, hold on, you know, like why are you talking to me like that?
But let's take it back to what you said.
Yeah.
You knew that I was direct when you met me, right?
Right.
But that like you said, you felt like I was expecting you to change things or shrink yourself.
Mhm.
But every single time I have, I'm not cursed at you or yelled at you, but my tone increases. Um, you want me to change that about me. So you want me to shrink myself, right?
No, but I could see where it would appear to be that way. Just like I hope you could see that it would appear to be that way to me, vice versa.
Right.
Right. Um, but again, having these conversations, and that's why we're having this conversation. It's not only to learn and to build. Maybe there's in these podcasts or in conversation or communication, people can kind of give us some ideas of what they do. But I think the start is to actually hit on and have these conversations and communicate how we may be shrinking ourselves in our relationship.
Babe, unless it's Mel Robbins, I'm not looking for advice.
Well, I mean, yeah, I need professional advice for sure.
Yes.
I mean, we're not professionals, but again, we're learning and we're not counselors by any means. Let's make that known. But I like Mel too. She's awesome.
So that is the people pleasing is what we started talking about, after we talked about the overthinking.
Yeah.
And, you are a self-proclaimed people pleaser.
Why do you have to say that I'm a self-proclaimed people pleaser?
Because you're the one that owns it.
I do own it. I know.
And what did Mel Robbins say on her little, spiel earlier?
What'd she say?
You can be a kind person.
Yeah.
And you can be nice to people. But you can still say fuck off when you need to.
Yeah, but I just hate it. I hate when people don't like me for no. It's already like that. I mean, people are gonna find things. You're not gonna please everybody. I get it, and I know that. But I don't. I would like to please everybody. I don't do anything wrong to anyone. I don't say anything wrong to them. They might not just like the way I act, or they might just not like the way I look. Everything isn't for everybody. But I just can't. I just really. It's really bad phobia about people that dislike me for no reason. Or
Yeah, I don't
accept me.
like that either. I don't like that either. Let's go way back,
Mm.
way back.
Mm.
We hadn't been together very long.
Right.
But you had already moved here. And, this is just to show, I think that you're improving, but we haven't had some interactions.
Mm.
So I can tell that you're like trying not to be a people pleaser as much, right? Even though you really don't like it if people don't like you, but babe, I hate to tell you. I mean, our views speak for themselves.
Yeah.
That part.
And that's okay. And then again, back to what I said, everything isn't for everybody. I think the biggest thing for me though, when I'm people pleasing, when I people please, is the next one was avoiding conflict.
That goes back to this same thing that I was getting ready to say.
I don't like conflict. I don't want to give anybody the opportunity to make me as mad as I can get. And because it's a scary situation. And like, I don't like it. I don't like going there. I don't like being that person. It kind of like gives you flashback, or it's almost like I can't think of a term for it, but it's just not good. Shell shock, it's like it brings back all the trauma. And I've had so much trauma of dysregulation, just like anybody else. It's just I just have a hard time dealing with it. So
Don't move forward. So we were talking about people pleasing, and then you were just talking about not liking
avoiding
conflict.
Yeah.
So way back then, we were in the vehicle, and me and you had a conversation about speaking to. We can talk about her, right? We can talk about Moba Sherry because she loves us both.
Right.
We were talking about a conversation that we may need to have with Moba Sherry regarding getting married if we went on the cruise, right?
Right.
Didn't work out that way. We got married January, blah blah blah.
Right.
And you said, "Don't tell her yet, though.
Right.
Just wait."
Mhm.
Do you remember that conversation in the car?
A little bit. You'd have to.
we had this conversation between you and I, and you said, well, like, don't tell her yet, like, just wait.
Mm.
And I was like, okay. Then, we were on the phone call with Sherry just minutes later, and you're like, vomit. Everything you just told me not to say.
Right.
You remember?
It's so weird.
It is weird, right?
Yeah.
And so then when we got off the phone call, I think that you maybe considered, because I said, what was that about? Like, during the phone call, I got quiet because I was like, what is he doing? Like, he literally just told me not to say this. And
Right.
he's like, word vomit.
Right.
And you thought I was asking you to not be you, not to be genuine to yourself, when in reality, I was just saying, why were you just doing that? Like, why were you telling me, don't say anything, don't say anything to her yet? And then you were like, blah, 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 out your mouth.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't even speak on
It's a, I think it's just, I don't
it. He's saying like I was trying to, I don't know. I don't know why I would tell you not to say something and then I turn around and say, maybe it was like trying to generate some positivity, people please, but it was unintentional. Like I didn't even think about it, it just came out, you know. But now that you bring it up, it's like, I don't know why the hell I do it. I don't know why the hell I do a lot of things or say a lot of things that I say. Something's wrong. But we'll get down to the point of that maybe one day with counseling. I don't know. It just ain't gonna happen tonight because me and you are professionals at that. But we are having a conversation. Thanks for throwing that up in my face again.
I was not throwing it up in your face. I was simply saying, this is the level of people pleasing that you go to.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't your wife at the time. Because now I probably.
I don't think it matters. You would have did it then. Now it doesn't matter if it matters.
I didn't do it then.
When did you first realize that you shrink yourself?
You already know I'm one of 8 children, so all the way back to childhood.
Well, you're the
When did
youngest.
I
You weren't the
realize?
youngest.
No, I was number 7 of 8. And did I realize it then what I was doing? No. But as I like became, I would say early 20s, I recognized that I didn't even refer to it as shrinking. I just referred to it as I wasn't being myself. And I think it's played a part, not in all relationships. I would say my friend Delana knows me genuinely 100% through and through. She knows me without a shadow of doubt. But I would, and my kids do. But do you remember a couple of weeks ago, I said, do you think you really know me? And I shared with you something I do, and you were like, I've never seen you do that.
Right. I don't even remember what you shared with me, what you did. See, that's my memory. That's bad. That's like early signs of dementia. I don't know what that is.
Listening to praise and worship music.
Yeah. You don't really do that much. Here, now.
No.
Well, you should.
Well, because I think the reason I haven't done it is because I didn't know how you would, what you would think about me.
But you love God. You love God here. Yeah. If
Yeah.
it makes you happy, that's all that matters, right?
Yeah, but I don't think I knew that about you when you moved in here. I mean, we barely knew each
Well,
other.
start learning. It doesn't bother me, especially if you enjoy it.
No, babe, I think you don't know. I walk around the house and dance and praise and.
All right, dance and praise, girl. God is in our house. You know that. For those of you who don't know, now you do. I feel like I first realized I shrink, and we had this conversation the other day. I talked to Alex about it too. When I was probably 7th, 8th grade. I used to wear the tough skins. You know, I didn't have the cool clothes. I was big and chubby. You know, And I used to be picked on because I wore the same clothes a lot every day and I didn't have the cool shoes. And I used to go to my dad and my dad and tell him about it, and he would do nothing about it, but he would always flash to me how much money he had. But now as an adult, I realized that the money he had was really just him flashing and showing and saying he don't got no money. I know that what he meant by that was that he really didn't have money. He had to pay bills. So,
Yeah.
I mean, that may have been, he's been showing me the money that he had, on a fresh payday, right when he cashed his check. But, yeah, the money, he didn't have money. I definitely realize that now as an adult. But I remember being picked on a lot. And then I put myself in a situation where, I was able to start getting, clothes and shoes and stuff like that. Probably closer to like the 9th and 10th grade year. And the bullying, that was going on ahead of time, being picked on in class, I really felt like, I had to shrink and I didn't want to go to school, all these things. And like I said, I got to the point where I started having clothes and I started having shoes. And I felt like, since then I was just striving and digging for a way to be accepted. And I was finally started to be accepted. And that was probably the worst thing that ever happened to me, was actually being accepted. Because then when I was started to, blend in with the popular crowd, I then ended up being just like them. I started picking on kids. I started making fun of kids. I started making them feel the same way I felt, to keep the bullying and stuff away from me. So I turned that around and found ways and pockets to push it away on other people rather than bringing the attention on me. And I became the issue of why people shrink and why they hide and why they don't want anything to do with people or talk or feel some type of way about themselves or feel hurtful about themselves and bring that home to their parents. I remember after school, I rented a room with like 4 or 5 gentlemen. We all had our separate rooms that we rented in this house. And one of the gentlemen that lived in the house, him and his wife split up because the kids that she was dealing with in school and the things she would bring home, well, one of those teachers that his wife was dealing with was one of my teachers, and we used to drive her nuts. And it hurt, to hear the things that he went through because of what us students put her through. We made her feel like she had to shrink as well. So a lot of the things that people go through daily when they're speaking with people, when they're interacting with people, when they're not being noticed on social media, when people are, making other people feel irrelevant, because they don't have all the followers, it really does shrink people who are really putting a lot of their life into, social media. I feel like a lot of people that don't feel like they fit in are shrinking. They shrink. So,
That's right. I've never fit in with my family.
Right.
Always the black sheep.
Mm.
Growing up, I was always the heaviest, always the black sheep. Never fit in with my family. Still don't fit in with my family.
Mm.
Never fit in with never fit in school. I have never fit in anywhere. Anywhere. Not in the bariatric community, not, I fit in here with my children. And sometimes I wonder if I even fit in with you.
Why do you say you sometimes you don't know whether or not you fit in with me?
I think because, I consider you a cool kid, and I am not that. Like, you fit in with everybody. Like, everybody loves Rab.
But we know when we look at numbers we know
But we also know why that is.
that that's not true.
We also know why that is.
Why is that?
Because people don't like us together.
Well, yeah, that's just what we believe.
They like us separated. They like me solo, you solo, but not together. That's our assumption. Yeah.
Yeah, and I believe that, in some instances, I could be wrong, that, I believe that there's a group of people, that may feel that they enjoy rap a lot better, when he was single than when he was with somebody, for sure. Um, I could be completely wrong. We could be completely wrong. It's just how we feel, right? And we feel that way, why? Just because of the interaction on social media?
I don't think it's just social media. I think it's real life too when we go to meetups and stuff.
Well,
let's just talk about it. Let's
Yeah.
talk about the elephant in the room.
okay.
I find myself shrinking at meetups, which is why I am not a fan.
Right. But,
But yet, it's weird because I say I'm not a fan, but then I'm like, I really want to go.
mm. Well, it's a support that you get at those meetups, that you're supposed to get, or that you feel like you're going to get when you go. I mean, but the meetups that we have gone to, the first meetup we went to was
We went
San
to
Diego.
together.
Yeah, in San Diego.
Not really.
No, we met there. We had plans. We met 50% of them plans. But and it was a sticky situation, and then the second meetup, it was still kind of sticky, but I believe like if we went to a meetup now, it would be a lot different than those first couple of meetups. So it's hard to kind of say if and how much shrinking would be involved in another meetup if we go to one.
But I didn't feel that way when we went to the Tough Mudder.
No, the Tough Mudder was fine.
Yeah.
It was a little odd at times, but we pulled through that.
And I didn't feel that way when we got married and Arisa and Biggie and Dee and her husband and Tony and Nina were
Wasn't
there.
no rain on it, girl. Of course you wouldn't feel that way. I would.
No, I don't think that's what it was. I think that at that point I started feeling like I maybe fit in with your people.
Okay. For a lot of us, shrinking ourselves didn't start here. It started where we learned being too much wasn't safe. So let's touch on how it shows up in our relationship, the shrinking. Miscommunication from holding things in. We touched on a little bit of that earlier. What does that resonate with you at all? Miscommunication from holding things in, like we miss points.
I didn't used to. I used to tell you everything when
Really?
I felt it, when I thought it.
You stopped?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, yes.
Well, how do we get going again where you feel comfortable with telling me things? What do you need from me to help you feel comfortable with communicating these thoughts?
It only takes one time for me to see the side of you that you don't even like.
Yeah,
For me to crawl back in my hole and say,
right. But most of the time when you're communicating something to me, I often take it as being accusatory. Like you're accusing me of something.
but I'm not. And I voice that over and over.
And I believe that comes from my trauma of you overthinking. Because you got to admit, like when we first got together, that shit was hard as hell. Like that whole transition, the whole who I was talking to, who I had on my phone.
But why was it?
Messages that you've seen, but this was all stuff that I failed to get rid of before me and you locked in, because I wasn't being lazy.
I don't I think it was you being lazy. I think that you just, maybe you forgot about it. I mean, you forget a lot.
I do forget a lot, but I mean, now, like, I can't really use that as an excuse because now that I've gone through it, it's like, the shit should have been deleted. Like, shit should be out of my phone, shit should be cleaned up, you know, everything should be swept, spring cleaning should be done, and I didn't do it. I fell short on that. And, yeah, and what I'm getting to is that, um, before, it was a lot of accusations. You, I know you're gonna take accountability for some of that.
Absolutely.
Reason being, there was a reason to feel that way. And I think that because at the beginning of our relationship, when we used to go through all that, I haven't let it go. And I would love for you to start telling me everything that you feel again. And somehow we need to figure out a way between the both of us to address, hey, look, you know, I'm not accusing you, but this is how I feel about this topic. P.S. Don't forget the conversation we had about you blowing up, please. Because
And
later.
can we backtrack a minute?
You go
Because you know how my mind
ahead,
works.
girl.
I want to backtrack and say this.
I'm listening.
I took accountability, right? Because I did accuse you a lot for probably the first 6 months you with me.
Mm.
But my accusations were valid. Not because of anything you were doing.
I said reason being.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because of things that were coming into your phone.
Yeah.
And
And DMs. Mm.
yes.
And because, and I had to adapt and respect the fact that you just went through a lot of trauma in the past 30 years in your previous relationship, and that's hard. Not to mention the topic alone that we're speaking on is shrinking. You did a lot of shrinking, and you were trying to come out of that hole. And yeah, I mean, this is a lot of mending and a lot of fix of trauma that we both have to rid the toxicity in each other's lives. And I would love to get back to the point where you're able to talk to me and tell me everything that you're thinking and feel, because as your husband, I should be that person you can speak to and talk to. So, one person thinking everything is fine. I'm quick to always. I always say things are fine. Everything's okay. I am. I am not, and we have this conversation all the time. I'm not happy about where I am in life. I feel like with all the choices, the movement, the decisions that I made, 4 kids by 4 different women, all these things that I've made, I don't give myself any.
Can you clarify, please, so that doesn't open a door for someone to pop in?
What you mean?
What you're not happy with?
Oh yeah, no, I'm not. I'm perfectly happy with our marriage. Like our marriage is what's keeping me going. I'm talking about like um, m- the height of my success in life.
Your career.
My career, my job, my school, the decisions I've made in the past. And I always say that I'm fine because my job as your husband, that I believe, is to provide you with security, so that you feel safe, and a lot of things that I've done in the past, and I've told you this before we even got together. I'm too toxic. I don't have anything to offer you. I was shrinking myself before you even gave me an opportunity, and um, that obviously still gave me an opportunity to find love in within us. But yeah, shrinking and thinking and help making people or you believe that I'm fine um, is starting to resurface because you can't hide it for so long. So I don't really recall you ever holding back or just saying that you're fine, that you're okay.
Um, I used to do that, which is why my daughter does that.
Yeah.
But probably about the age of 48, 47, maybe 46, I got to a place where, for my own mental health, I had to start speaking things that weren't okay.
Right.
Um,
What's that look like?
you know, if I'm being, well, you know what that looks like, babe. Because the day you blew up on me and was saying the things you were saying, I was saying to you, you're not going to talk to me that way. That is not okay.
Right.
And that's what that looks like. Because if I don't stand up for myself, no one is going to.
That's right.
So no, I no longer do the I'm fine thing. I personally think that's a trauma response.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that because my daughter does that. When I know good and well, just like I know good and well with you, when things ain't fine.
Right.
Even when you say they are.
And sitting here thinking about it, I'm going to retract and I'm going to say that you don't necessarily say that you're fine when you're not, but I can tell, I can feel when you're overthinking. And that's the next one I wanted to touch on was what about the internal overthinking?
What do you mean?
I mean, you overthink as it is. Like a lot of things that you'll tell me, and now you just told me that you don't say a lot of stuff. So you keep a lot of it in. So you overthink a lot and don't say anything. So you're internally overthinking. I can just imagine how that makes you feel to hold on to your overthinking and not saying what you feel. So you got to
You
practice.
say I cry a lot.
Yeah, but you got to practice what you preach. You just said that you say you're not going to talk to me in this way. You know, you're not going to talk to me that way. Well, as your husband, I should be able to deal with whatever it is that you're overthinking about. Not allowing you or accepting the fact that you're sitting over there in the corner with your tail in between your legs, not telling me how you feel or what you're overthinking about, because that's unfair. And that just proves to me, or tells me, it doesn't prove to me, but it tells me or makes me feel like I don't make you feel safe. And that's not good. I already feel like, and this is fine because this is what this podcast is about. It's about learning and having these deep conversations. I feel now like a failure, and then I'm shrinking because I don't make you feel safe.
Why would you feel like you needed to shrink?
I feel like I'm not good enough.
But you are.
Well, you're going to say that because you're my wife, you know.
No, I say that because I love you and because I see you.
Right, but I need you to feel comfortable telling me how you feel and think about things, whether you're overthinking or not. And
But if you said yourself that you do not like when you get way up here. Well, on the receiving end of that,
Yeah.
that's scary as hell.
you sound like a mom. monster.
I'm not making you sound like a monster. I'm saying it's scary.
I mean,
When
I
I've
mean,
never seen you that way ever.
well, I don't want people to think that I'm like a serial crazy guy.
Well, maybe you're overthinking it because I'm not saying that at all.
Well, I am crazy. But I would, yeah, yeah, I need to get over it. We need to work together harder about you communicating your thoughts with me and me accepting them and talking about them.
Well, you need to practice what you preach, babe.
I know.
You also need to get better at communicating your thoughts.
You know me and communication, that's a whole other conversation. We're not even gonna go there. Maybe we'll have that conversation in 2 weeks. Communication, because that's just a terrible situation for me. I can't. That's why we have, a lineup. Because I'm a terrible communicator. But we'll go there in a different conversation. I don't even want to touch on that right now. But when one person is shrinking and the other doesn't know, it creates distance without either person understanding.
I can feel it. I can feel it. And I'll say to you, I feel like you're distant. I can feel it.
All right, the turning point.
And then you deny.
I always say I'm fine.
But I know you're not.
So as you need to communicate what you're overthinking and feel comfortable and safe with me, I need to feel the same way and feel safe with you when I'm just saying I'm fine when I'm not. And I started that yesterday.
Yes,
told
you
you
did.
that.
Yes, you did.
Realizing shrinking isn't helping. What can you say
I
about
think
it?
it builds resentment.
Why do you say that?
I think it does.
How?
I think it makes you, I'm not just talking about in our relationship, I'm talking
Right.
about in all relationships. Friendships, relationships, family relationships, all relationships.
Mhm.
I think it builds resentment. I think that if you're trying to fit in with someone or a group of people or you're, which by the way, God's already showed me more than one time now that I was not created to fit in, so I'm gonna have to skip on past that. And he's gonna send my people, because I was born to stand out, not fit in. And so I'm tired of trying to fit, as Shelley Holland said, I'm tired of trying to fit my square into a circle,
I know that's right.
because I am not a circle. So, but I do think it can build resentment. It can cause you to be upset with people. It can cause you, even though, yeah, it does. It definitely does.
I never really thought about, realizing that shrinking isn't helping until, we've had this conversation. No idea. As far as I'm concerned, I felt like it was helping to shrink. Because it made things like I didn't have to work. I didn't have to work on anything. I could just be like, I'm fine, or you look great when you really don't. Everything.
Yeah, babe, you can't be telling me I look great if I don't.
Yeah, I would never do that. I would never do that. You should know that. But just like, telling people how the way it is, I used to be that way. Believe it or not.
But you can be that way and not be an ass like you said you were.
But that's the problem though. It's like I need to find that middle ground where like I'm not so much of an asshole, but I'm nice and I'm okay. I could be a nice asshole. I need to find that middle ground. And I can. It's either I'm super nice and I'm gonna tell you what you want to hear, or I'm gonna be an asshole. And that's it. And I'm scared of that conflict. I'm worried about like if I am an asshole, what you might say back to me, because then I'm gonna try to one up you every time. It's like a competition. Like it's crazy. It's like I go back into like street mode. It's so stupid, but it's a part of learning and growing up, right?
Right.
So,
But we can't end until
no, we gotta wait.
talk about, how our weight, because we are very in love.
Yeah.
How our weight has, our weight and being in this weight loss community has caused us to shrink. How we shrunk ourselves because of our weight, and how we shrink ourselves to fit into places in this community that we may have no business fitting into.
Right. What do you mean by that? Like, I don't have a, I, I don't know what you mean.
You really don't?
No, like, I don't feel like I need to fit into, a community.
Now you don't. But previously,
Previously,
you
I
did.
did, yeah, because emotionally and mentally, I was going through a change in my life that I didn't know how to react to, or I didn't know how to absorb. I never was accepted in that type of way because of, you know, what I brought to the table, the things that I've said, how I looked. I didn't know how to react or respond to those things, so I just went off the cuff, so to speak. Like I just let it all hang out, you know, and it came back and bit me in the ass. And because people viewed me in the way that they did because of that, you know, it kind of misdirected like, or made people believe that I was something or someone that I was not, unless you like personally knew me. Um, and I created that monster on my own. So I crawled back into my hole.
You shrunk yourself.
I shrunk myself. Because, and I got mad. I'm still kind of in my feelings about the way, you know, some people perceive me and see me because of, and I don't have anyone else to blame but myself. You know, I led people to believe that I was something that I was not. And it came back and bit me in the ass because of shrinking.
I think I shrink myself in the community. Here's why I say that. Because I feel like, people are just friends with me because of you. I did a video about it, you know,
Right.
it's just how I feel.
Right.
Not everyone, of course, but I do question, I have questioned it, not so much these days, but, I have questioned whether or not people are truly my friend or if they just talk to me because of you. And so I find myself shrinking at even the thought of that.
Well, you can't shrink because of the thought of that. I think, well, you can. I mean, I can't tell you what you can and cannot do. But as your husband, I want to make you feel safe. I think that you know what me and you have. That's more intimate than I have with anybody that I would consider a friend on or off social media.
Well, that was my turning point.
Mhm.
Do you remember when you said to me, we were having a conversation, I can't even remember what the conversation was about, and you said to me, Tara, I live with you, and I sleep in your bed every single night.
Yeah.
And no one on social media knows me like you know me.
Nope.
And that was a turning point for me. Even though I have been growing in that, trying to realize, you know, that it doesn't matter who thinks they know you, they don't know you like I know you.
Mhm.
That was a big turning point.
There you go.
Not just when you said it, but when I actually started believing it.
So I would say that, you know, with what we've gathered from this conversation over the past 50 minutes is that there has been some confusion between the both of us. with you communicating when you overthink with me, and me just telling you that I'm just fine. That's what I'm getting from it.
Yeah.
Are you getting anything else different from?
The same.
And then we've decided to make some changes, you know, you feeling comfortable enough and safe enough to tell me when you're overthinking and how you feel.
Can we say when you say feel safe? I don't feel not safe with you. You're talking about feeling safe,
Yeah,
having hard conversations with you and talking to you about what I overthink.
but I need you to feel safe when you do it. Like I need you to come out of your hole and tell me, because when you don't, I don't feel like I'm being who I should be. Like I'm not fulfilling my my job as a husband to make you feel safe. Like that's what I'm security, safe. You know, fuck all the financial shit, not having the job that I want, not having the education that I want, not being who I want to be, you know, not bringing what I want to bring to the table, but at least making you feel safe and secure. I'm not going to let someone come up and smack you, but I need you to feel safe and secure to be able to come up and talk to me safe. And we're not there, and we need to get back to there. But I need to feel safe and secure with you as my queen to tell you that I'm not just fine, that I'm not okay. And I know, if it's one thing I definitely know is that you have my back, no matter what. So I need to get over that. I'm just not used to it. So we're learning, right? What we don't say doesn't disappear, it builds. And eventually it comes out. And it does. It's so freaking true. It just did over the past, 50 minutes. All of it came out. It comes out. And as much as we try to hide it, you can't hide the shrinking, especially not in a relationship. You still have to face yourself in the mirror. That's just my opinion. And so to touch on the next 5 or so minutes that we have, what are we learning now? And I think one of the first things that we're learning now is probably to speak up sooner. Not just wait for things to build and the discomfort to happen and then just out of nowhere start placing the blame because we've kept score. You know how I am about keeping score. How do you feel about speaking up sooner?
I think we need to work on it.
How do you think we can work on it?
I think we need to set time aside every day if it's like after we go to bed instead of doom scrolling. Maybe we need to.
What did you say? Doom scroll?
Doom scrolling.
Doom scrolling.
That we need to have intentional conversations about how we're feeling, how the day went. And we need to be able to share during that time.
And when you say share, you know, that can get to be pretty uncomfortable. So we need to find space to allow discomfort and not take it like personally. Because there's sometimes that, you know, we have these conversations and you'll bring things up, you'll say stuff to me and I'll take it as an attack. But I gotta admit that you do too something.
I do.
Like, you will get a straight up attitude real quick. But how do we avoid getting those attitudes? How do we?
Do you hear yourself?
Yeah.
You talk about me talking to you like you're a little bitch. But when you say you got an attitude, I feel like you're talking to me like a child. Every time you say it, I get like defensive. I know you've noticed.
No.
Oh, come on now.
No, I didn't know you got defensive when I said you
Every
got
single
attitude.
time, because I feel like you're talking to me like I'm a teenager. Oh, you got an attitude? Bro, I'm about to show you an attitude.
For real?
For real.
So how would you like me to say what I say? Like, how would it come off better? What would be better? Um, Instead of saying, "Oh, you got an attitude," what?
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know how you could say it differently.
Not taking everything as an attack. That's what are we learning now?
But I think we both can do that.
I mean,
I think we are
I
both
think I
guilty
need a
of that.
second to be like, hold on, let me breathe. But you forced me to talk a lot.
That's part of communication. We ain't going there.
Mm,
You just cut me off earlier, so there you go. That's communication.
yeah, I mean, I, I think, again, I need to make the compromise with you right now that um, I can't take what you're overthinking or feeling as an attack. I need to find a way to um,
Maybe
ex-
this will help you. If I'm sharing something with you that I'm feeling or thinking, those are my feelings on a topic and what I'm thinking on a topic. Doesn't mean it's factual because it's feelings. Feelings are most likely not factual, they're feelings.
Yeah, so I don't see them as feelings. I automatically see them as a failure. For me, I'm like, I've failed her. What am I doing wrong? Or did I not do enough of to make her feel this way? So now I feel like I'm in an attack. I'm being attacked because I'm not doing good enough for you. That's how I would perceive it. That's why I react the way I react. So what you're telling me is I shouldn't react that way.
No, because I haven't been accusatory. I've been purposefully not accusatory toward you since you were here like at 5 or 6 months. I became very mindful and I have even said to you, these are my feelings. This is the way I'm feeling. That doesn't mean I'm saying you're doing this because I realize there is a disconnect for me between what I'm feeling and what is factual. And that's because I'm an overthinker. So sometimes my feelings are valid, but sometimes they are not. But either way, most of the time, they're not factual. You know that. You know that I can say to you when I'm overthinking, I am not thinking logical. But when I'm through that,
I didn't know that.
I've told you that.
Well, I didn't think that you were thinking. Well, I mean, when you say what you say, is definitely not logical.
Exactly.
I'm like, hold on. So yeah, but I still take it as an attack.
It's from your trauma, though. I'm not, yeah, I definitely am not accusatory of you and haven't been in a long time. So I think it's maybe I need to start saying to you, these are my feelings, these are not facts, and I'm not accusing you. We used to do that, and then we stopped. I don't know if it done any good or not. I can't remember.
Well, we need to get back to being honest, even when it's hard.
I mean, that's not hard for me because I believe there's no
No,
other way but
it's
the
not.
honest way.
It's not. And it's not that I'm not honest with you. I just don't tell you shit.
Okay, yeah, so that's not being honest because that withholding information is also lying.
Well, I don't lie. I'm not lying to you.
If you're not
I'm just
telling
not bringing up stuff and telling you how I feel. No different than you, with the overthinking that you have, and you not bringing shit up and telling me. me not feeling safe with you as much as you don't feel safe with me because you don't want the reaction from me. I don't want the reaction from you that I'm going to get if I bring it up. So now that we've had this conversation and we're learning, now we know that it's safe for us to have these conversations. Unlearning shrinking takes time, but every honest moment creates more connection, right?
That's why we feel like, you and I, feel like every time we have a disagreement or argument, that we get closer.
It does. Shrinking yourself might keep the peace for a moment, but over time it disconnects you from who you are.
That is true.
Big time.
That's why you got to be mindful of it.
Before we end this episode, Tara, I gotta let you know that I know this week in particular has been super hard. Not just in this conversation that we've had out loud, because that's how we do things out loud. It's been really a difficult week for you and I, and I'm not like I've apologized to you with how I've reacted to what we've gone through, and it seems to come across like so hateful. And it's not something that you would post on the wall or put in the memory album of, Rab and Tara, this is the way it is. This is how we are. My intentions in our relationship is to be different than any relationship that you've ever been in your life. And I love to learn with you. Almost, I don't know how to express to you how important it is to me to have a wife who is taking on so much difficult conversation with someone with so much toxicity. Speaking of myself, and I appreciate you. I love you with all my heart, and I'm determined not to walk away from you. As much as you feel, at sometimes and out loud, how we do, you feel, that I'm going to turn my back on you. And I can't turn my back on someone who has never turned their back on me, who supports me the way that you do, who loves me genuinely, who is sincere to me, honest to me, and has my back. And you are my queen for life. And I love and appreciate every moment that I learn and feel with you. Okay.
I love you.
I love you. So thanks to those of you who have taken the time to listen to Bari-N-Love today. We love to have you each and every other week on Thursday evening. We're Terry and Rab, and this is Bari-N-Love, where we keep learning, growing, and choosing each other out loud. We'll catch y'all 2 weeks on Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks for hanging out. Bari-N-Love.